Hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake. My name is Pete Selby, and you're watching or listening to the preview with Rob Hayes, but it's not with Rob because Rob is gallivanting around the world once again for a good few weeks. I think he's got a few little bits of important stuff to do family-wise, and then he's going to be gallivanting. So you've got my good self for the next few games, quite a few games actually, a busy period for Leicester after the international period. A big hello if you're watching live, on YouTube, if you're watching live on Facebook or maybe on X, or if you're listening to the broadcast on the old style via Apple Podcasts or maybe on Spotify. A big hello to you. Do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Big news is coming in the next week with our fantastic competition. And to win, you need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's free. And if you haven't got a YouTube account, then do make sure you sign up on there and then just click subscribe to For Fox's Sake Podcast. And of course, you'll be able to watch all 4 shows, the Champion Show, the Big Show with myself, and also the FPL show. Really good FPL show actually the other day. Some really good information from Matt Elliott's actually, and looking forward to employing that and scaling the heights because there's a few members of the For Fox's Sake team who are actually just outside the top 10 in FPL. But anyway, we're not talking about the FPL. We're not talking about that because we're talking about the preview. I've got to be sensible. I've got to be Rob Hayes. If you are going to leave a comment, then do so. It will come straight through to us. If you're commenting on YouTube, if you're commenting on Facebook as well, it will come straight through to us. Let us know what you think about this coming weekend's game against Portsmouth on Saturday evening. And we have, thankfully, some sense. We have Tom and we have James alongside myself. But I will be Rob Hayes for the next 30 minutes. So I've got to have my sensible hat on. Anyway, we're talking Leicester against Portsmouth. Before we delve in, and again, I'm going to try and do what Rob does on this show. The one thing I really do like is when they talk about players who have played for both clubs. Tom, James, and I know none of you have probably thought about this, so this is getting you on the hop. Who has played? Who do you think of straight away when you think of Portsmouth? Do you think of the Harry Redknapp side, or do you think of players who have played for both teams? There's a couple of players, especially, who really do ring a bell with me. Tom, who rings a bell with you? Literally a Portsmouth bell, because they've got that guy, isn't they, with a bell?
Oh God, yeah.
Maybe not him.
I don't, mate. I can't answer that question. I don't know any. There must be someone. Can I throw that grenade to James?
Well, when he said, "Who do you think of?" My instant thought was Canoe, because that was the miss when he was playing for Portsmouth or when he was playing for West Brom. I can't remember. And Little and Large with Crouch and Defoe played for both teams.
Oh, I'll tell you, I think I might be showing my age here as well, but there we go. But no. Well, my first thought was David Nugent. Played for both teams.
Of course.
Straight away, Yakubu. Of course, he had a good spell there. And if you go back, I mean, these 3 names came right to me. Russell Holt, of course, who's there's been news recently, and hopefully everything's going well there with Russell Holt. There's a few more actually: Michael Morrison, Kevin Harper, Josh Knight, and of course Super Steve Claridge as well. So yeah, there's been quite a few who actually have played for both clubs. But yeah, Portsmouth, they've done well to get back into the Championship. But Leicester currently 3rd place, as we know, 3 points off the top. I don't think we can go top. James, how many goals are we behind Coventry? What do we need to win by?
We would need, we would need to gain 14 goals in this game to go top. So, I mean, we could win 1-0. And they could lose 15-0, but no. But we probably got a good chance of going into the top 2 if we win and Middlesbrough lose or even draw.
What would you rather happen? Would you rather Leicester win 13-0 and then Portsmouth lose 1-0, or would you rather Leicester win 1-0 and Coventry lose 1-0 and Coventry lose then like 13-0? What would be the ratio that you would like?
I think I'd prefer Coventry to lose.
I think
it's a bit sadistic, but yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
I think I would. And if you're watching and you're a Portsmouth fan, there you go. We are a Leicester City podcast, but we're thinking that maybe Coventry to lose 13-0, Leicester to win 1-0 on Saturday. That'd be quite good. Anyway, let's get on to the game. Birmingham, they're in Portsmouth, they're in 16th place, level on points actually with Birmingham. 14th place for Portsmouth. They are. They're a side who win and then they draw and then they lose. They've done 3 of each, and instantly they're the side, Tom, where you look at their home form, and you think it's that difficult place to go now because they've not long been promoted to the Championship. It's always going to be difficult for a side who move into a league or mostly difficult. I mean, if you look at Ipswich, obviously a few years ago, maybe not, but you think with someone like Portsmouth, the majority of their points are going to be taken up at home because they do generate a really good atmosphere, etc. But then on the other hand, when you're Leicester and you're looking at the fixture list and then you play Portsmouth at home, then surely we should be really aiming for 3 points as a minimum. And anything else, obviously, depending on circumstances that happen during the game, would be a big disappointment for also a side who are third.
This is one of those games that we absolutely need to be targeting. And I think we will. And I think we have every right to. I mean, they're very much in a season where they're consolidating their relatively new promotion to the Championship. So this should be the kind of fixture that we look to and think we can get something out of this. And we've talked about in the past how, we need to start accumulating points in case something does happen later in the season. So this has got a big red mark around it for me. In saying that, it's pretty important that we don't fall into the trap of being an arrogant team and going there thinking that. I think Marty's been really good about talking about that in the press. So we've got to keep our hat on straight here for this one, but I think we can get it done.
Yeah, James, your initial thought as well. It's again, you don't really want to be patronising, but hey, we can be. Portsmouth at home instantly. It's a 3-pointer, isn't it?
Well, it's definitely a game we should be looking to win, although I guess in this league, you're looking to win every game. But yeah, they've got quite a decent away form. Nearly half of their points have come away. And they're definitely going to play defensively or pragmatically. So it'll be interesting to see how we respond to that. I think Tom's right. I think one of our main issues this season, aside from, I suppose this comes into, we don't score enough goals, but also we take the foot off the gas, to use that cliche, very early on in games. You see it, either we play really badly in the first half or badly in the second half. We haven't really had a good 90 minutes yet. So if we get frustrated, I could see there being potential difficulties, but we should definitely win. We've got the better team. They're missing their best player. So yeah, I'm reasonably confident, as you can be, as a Leicester City fan.
Well, why not? I mean, it's a Saturday night as well, so everyone's going to be having a great day during the day and go there, and hopefully it's going to be a really good atmosphere, and you'll be able to hear that bell ring in the away end, etc. Yeah, just looking at their recent form, to lose 2-1 away at Ipswich, you didn't get turned over there on the back of a disappointing home defeat against Sheffield Wednesday, to draw at home against Watford. Funny side, Watford. They can score plenty of goals, concede plenty of goals, so a 2-2 draw there is no real surprise. And then Portsmouth beating Middlesbrough at home. What a really good result. So they are a side who I think are just finding their feet really in the Championship this year. But we'll concentrate on Leicester now. What a great win it was at Swansea. We covered that on the big show, so you can listen back to that. Leicester only dealing great goals, of course, but more and more fantastic goals. But one of the themes of the big show earlier on, and again, you can find that episode whether you're listening or watching, if you head to YouTube, or if you again are listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, you can listen to the big show. But one of the themes was about scoring goals, and not really the lack of goals overall in the side. It's the lack of goals from the number 9 position. And I suppose as long as the team are winning, then that's all that matters. But overall in a season, you're not going to get promoted automatically, and we'll just kind of put to one side what's going to happen kind of away from the football pitch, basically, with points deductions. We'll put that to one side and we'll concentrate on the actual football side of things. you're not going to get promotion without a centre forward scoring all those goals. And we hinted that there might be something maybe in the transfer window in January. Again, you can listen back to that. But for what we've got at the moment, I think it's imperative that we really get the centre forward scoring from the 9 position, whether that number 9 is an Ayew, which I don't think is going to be the case, or whether we can get Carranza scoring, or whether it's going to be someone else, whether it's going to be Patson Daka, who, Tom, in the first half against Wrexham, I actually thought played very well. Now, we know that there was a sideways square pass that was 10 yards behind his intended target, even though Daka was only 10 yards away from, I think it was for Tarwu. But you're going to get that with him. But there was a lovely link up for the goal. And we know he possesses a lot of pace. And also, it was interesting that in the week, and it's funny in international periods where what does a football club do? And there was one clip which I saw doing the rounds. I don't think it was actually posted this week, but it was about Patson Daka's goals at Leicester. If you look back on his goals, he has scored goals. He's scored goals in the Premier League. We all know his downfall. We all know what he's like. But is Patson Daka now, for you, Tom, our not main striker, but our starting striker at the moment?
Yes is the short answer for me, and that was a controversial thing last preview show that I don't think Rob was expecting me to actually make the case for, but I think he has to be, because I think Ayew is very much a better technical footballer. I think we've seen that, but I think what Patson does really well are the elements to the actual team that we need the most, which is to be stretching defenses, to be running at centre backs and scaring the life out of them with pace. I think he does that in abundance, and the structure of our team actually looks better for it. And he is creating space for our quality players like a JJ, like for Tarwu to come in and score absolute worldies. So I think I was a little bit negative from our last time that we potted. And having reviewed that pod, I'm thinking all right, I'm going to go in with a positive attitude now. And if Marty can put his arm around Patson and continue to give him those starts, I think at this level, we've seen previously that he's got the capability with a run of confidence behind him to actually start scoring. We just need to continue to feed him those opportunities. And you're absolutely right. He's going to put them wide, and maybe Carranza is the better option overall. But I think if we give him plenty of opportunities and back him up with some performances that takes the pressure off a little bit, like a JJ coming in and taking some shots on goal, then I think if we can relieve the pressure on him and give him a bit of confidence, I think there's a player in there that can at least do a job that keeps us in this kind of top 2, top 3 position until we can get into the January window. And then we can reassess and see what's required. But I think Patson's okay for now, but obviously he's not scoring, but he does bring some other elements to the team.
It's amazing, really, isn't it, James, that we're talking about whether Patson Daka should be on number 9. Personally, I completely agree with Tom. Absolutely. I think for now, and we're talking about this game on Saturday, I think Patson Daka is the starting player. Now, unless Carranza's done something incredible in training, where it means that he's leapfrogged and now will be given the start, or whether Marty has decided tactics-wise that it will be better to have Carranza up front, I can see no reason why Daka wouldn't start and hopefully get Leicester in a comfortable position in the game, where then Carranza can come on at home, team in a comfortable position in the game, 2 or 3 up, maybe, you never know. And then he can have the last 25 minutes, half an hour, and maybe get that goal and really get going as a centre forward. Maybe it's going to be the softly approach with the Argentinian. But for now, I agree with Patson Daka starting up front for Leicester. What about you? What about you, James? What would you do? Do you agree with Daka up front for now? And with Carranza again, do you think a softly approach is what's needed?
I mean, I would probably go the other way around. I would start Carranza on Saturday. I mean, I don't know exactly how many minutes he's got across these 3 games, but it must be like 30 or something. Is he number 10? Can he play number 9? I'm not sure. Playing number 9 at Feyenoord is very different to playing number 9 in the Championship. But I'd give him a go. I'd rather, if we need a goal, I'd rather Daka coming on for the last 20 minutes when, if the legs are getting tired, particularly if Portsmouth haven't had much of the ball and they've been chasing shadows. But yeah, I'm not really. I mean, Daka's got 23 goals in 131 games for Leicester, so I'm not remotely convinced that he is going to score at any rate. But yeah, I like him as a player and he seems like a nice person. But we've just got.
It goes a long way sometimes. It goes a long way being a nice person, but maybe it's not quite what we need in terms of that player going forward who's going to be the player who's going to score 15 or 20 goals. I think all as Leicester fans watching this right now, I think we all know that Patson Daka won't be the 15, 20 goal striker. I can completely see the argument because I think Patson is a great player to come on in that last 20 minutes when the side that we're playing against maybe, and we've seen it so far this season, have held Leicester and then Daka can run around, or at least we're maybe one goal in front and Daka can run around all over the place because he is a good lad. He will run for the cause. He won't come on and sulk. He will be that player who will chase down, and of course he's very, very quick. I think he'll be a very good final 20-minute substitute, but I think right now, I think he actually probably is the main striker. Completely see your argument, though, playing Carranza and saying, look, you're our number 9. We've bought you to be this player. Here's your chance against one of the so-called lesser opposition in the championship. You've got Daka to come on later on. You know you're going to be on the field for an hour or so, unless you've scored 1,000 goals and you're going to be on there. We're going to be top of the league because we've overturned that goal difference with Coventry. So I can completely see both arguments. If we just go through the side from back to front, and I said on the big show, I said on Leicester only score great goals, that I think we're about 8 cemented places in the Leicester side at the moment. It looks like Muddy has got a squad and a first team. He's got that sorted, and also he's got 1 or 2 positions where you know that there's going to be one or the other. I think at right back at the moment, it's Chowdhury or Ricardo. We know that the centre half seem pretty solid, along with Thomas at left back if needed. Obviously, you've got Christensen there as well, but you know, hopefully not. And then in midfield, it looks to be quite settled. I suppose the one position, Tom, is out wide with Mavididi, the conundrum that is Mavididi. And I think it's, for me, I think it's quite similar to what we have with the number 9 position, because you've got Mavididi, who's been disappointing for about 18 months now, and he's not done it this season at all. But we know that he's good enough to make a massive impact in this division. And then on the other hand, you've got Monga, who is at the moment for me, I think is a really, really good final half an hour play. It's a bit like the Carranza kind of Patson Daka. Do you start Daka, which is the Monga angle, or do you kind of get a player going by starting them, and that's Mavididi? We'll come on to like the 10 position as well. We'll kind of mention that at the same time. I think Ramsey, for me, will need to start there because you've got him on loan for the season. It's not a loan to a move. We know he's more than good enough to be a very influential player in this division. And I think that James, Winks, and then Ramsey in front, we've got to get that triangle going. So I think we all might agree on that position. But what do we do out wide, Tom?
I can see a lot of parallels with Steffi Mavididi and Patson Daka. I think they're both very much confidence players. And I think they're very much waiting for one to hit the back of the net before they suddenly burst into life and can start actually performing to the levels that perhaps not Patson, but we know that Steffi can. But in saying that, you've got this wonder kid coming in behind you. And I remember maybe 4 or 5 games ago, we were talking about how that competition for places element might be able to spur Steffi on to that next level to rekindle that form, but it doesn't really seem to be happening. I think you've got to play and start with your strongest side from the get-go, and for me, that's Jeremy Monga. And if he's not having a great game, fantastic option to be able to then, all right, Steffi, here's your chance. Go and show us what you can do. So I think it's one of those where we're in a bit of a tricky position. I know as football fans, we don't normally give a lot of patience and a lot of time to players, but I think if we can just keep giving Patson Daka and Steffi opportunities, and I'm not sure whether that's a few minutes here and there or whether that's a half or a full start, but eventually something's going to stick, you feel. At least I think that's our best option in the squad available that I can see. I couldn't think of another way to really approach it.
Same question to you then, James. As we said with Carranza and Daka up front, who would you go with out wide? Is it going to be a vote for a Monga, or is it going to be a Steffi, hopefully, to try and find a little bit of form.
Yeah, well, when I was at the Wrexham game, I was right near the pitch and on the side that Jeremy Monk was, so I saw him right up close. And I mean, there's arguments for that he's the best English teenage footballer in the country at the minute. You have to caveat that by the fact that he is only 16 and all the things that come with that, whether that be physical, I would say at the minute more probably psychological, what it does to a literal child to be playing under that much pressure every week. I don't know. I think what Cervantes likes really is he creates width. I know it sounds silly, but he really does create width from the wingers. They don't cut in so much. I know Fataru does, but when you look at us as we're moving into attacking transitions, they stay really wide. I think that's something that Mavididi can do reasonably well. I think he can. I think he's more likely to be more tactically disciplined than Monga, and I wouldn't be surprised if the physios and Marty are thinking that Monga should be starting every other game or like every 2 games, that type of thing. So I think Monga is by far our best left midfielder, but he can't start every game just because of his age. So on Saturday, I'd probably go with Mavididi, and I mean, obviously Fataru is going to start. That's a no-brainer. And then in terms of the number 10, I don't know. I'm not really convinced by Decor. How'd you say his name? Pete?
Decordova-Reid?
Yeah. That one, you see how professional I am and how professional Pete is there. I'm not convinced by him. I think he's had a really bad start to the season. I'm not sure. If Aaron Ramsey's fit, I'd throw him in. You know, why not? Give him a go.
Yeah, it's interesting with Aaron Ramsey because again, you get sent off on your first on your debut after only about 20 minutes, wasn't it, away Oxford, and it was an awkward situation because I can certainly see why he was sent off, and it's just going to knock you back as a player. Look how then Jordan James has really started well, and again, he's the one player we got on loan that's not with a loan move to a permanent signing. And there was a lot of chat regarding Burnsley fans saying we really want him to get going as a footballer. He's had a few injury problems, and I was very excited by the signing, and I still am. And I think for me, he would be the player to start. I think it actually will be Bobby Decordova-Reid, who I thought actually since he's come back into the side after being out for the start of the season, I think we linked up quite well on 1 or 2 occasions against Wrexham. But it's an interesting scenario because I think with someone like Decordova-Reid, who Marty has said that he's really in favour of, he likes him as a player, he likes his attitude, he likes him around the training ground. He's got a very good influence on players. And you just wonder who are the first team players who are maybe being that kind of older head alongside with the younger players. Maybe he's taken Monga under his wing. It could be that he's referring to Fuentes. But I think in that 10 position, and this just speaks very well for the squad that we've got. The fact that if you do start Bobby Decordova-Reid, you do have a Ramsey to come on, and then vice versa. You know that you've got an hour on the field. I think the one thing that we do need to throw into the whole conundrum here of what team to pick would be that we are playing on Tuesday away at Hull, which is a difficult place to go. We know we could be Premier League champions and go and get beat there on the first day of the season. But that, I think, kind of slightly bends the argument towards Jeremy Monga, personally. I think Jeremy Monga will probably start. Looking at the away game at Hull, to then go, well, that will be a start for Mavididi. I think it's quite an easy decision to turn around and go, look, lads, Monga, you're starting today against Portsmouth. Mavididi, you're going to come on. It probably doesn't call him Mavididi, but Steffi, you're going to come on later on in the game. And then against Hull, it's going to be the other way round. Because again, for what James was saying, more than likely, you're not going to start the 16-year-old against the two sides really quick. It's not going to happen, is it? So I can see it being that way round. I think that will be Patson Daka up front, and I think it will be probably Monga out wide, again, with more of a view to Hull and Steffi Mavididi. But with the performances that you were saying with Tom, with Monga. And again, they are staying very wide, aren't they, James? When receiving the ball, and of course, when cutting inside, both are deadly, especially with Fataru with that left foot, and he's finding that left top corner virtually every game. It's ridiculous. But when you do look at Monga's performances, and if you go back into previews of recent games, maybe the first 2 or 3 games, I was very much in favour of having Mavididi and then Monga coming on at the end. But the performances have just gone the other way, where Monga is now performing at a level where I just think he deserves to start. I think it's got to the point with Mavididi where you just got to go, look, like you're going to be on the bench. When we go away from home, you're probably going to start, because to start Monga away from home at some places, it's probably not best, and depends on how long the game is away from the previous game. But I just think Monga's been performing so well. And also Mavididi performing so badly that Monga deserves his chance. Looking back in the rest of the team, do you think it picks itself, Tom?
Well, this is where I probably run into a bit of disagreement with other people, because for me, I like Ricardo and Hamza and right back. I think our back two, oh man, wow phase. The day he leaves the club will be a happy day for me, but I don't know what else you do. You got to play him, I guess, if you've got him, and assuming his attitude's right. But I think the left back position is probably one to look at. I'm not totally filled with confidence in Luke Thomas. I haven't been for a long, long time.
Yeah, you're not a fan, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not a massive fan, and I'm not sure Marty is either, because he seems to still be getting the hook at half time and whatnot occasionally. So, yeah, is it Victor Christensen? Is he the answer? I'm not sure.
No. The only question that would be is, do we have, how many Danish defenders do we have, and can you name them? Like, he's not the answer to any footballing question, maybe a quiz question, but he's not the answer to, unless you want to concede goals. I mean, the way he had, I mean, when we played against Wrexham, we know that Vestergaard got shoved off the ball on the byline for the goal, and that should never have happened. But then only minutes later, Christiansen did exactly the same thing. The ball bobbled up in the air, and he headed the ball square back into his penalty area. Honestly, all those links in the summer to Forest, I was just saying to a few mates, going, come on, lad, you need to go and have a word with your fat owner and say, look, you've got to sort yourself out. I know you want to buy every player under the sun from Botafogo, but like, you can't be buying Victor Chris. He's absolute garbage. I mean, I would have driven him there. I'd drive him anywhere in Europe, anywhere in the world he wants to go. He's absolutely dreadful. There is absolutely nothing for me that Victor Christiansen brings to the side at all. Like, genuinely at all. I can't think of anything at all that he's possibly competent at. Now, I'm no massive fan of Thomas, but by far and away, I'd have him over Victor Christiansen, who is just a passenger. Sorry, Tom, I may have interrupted there. Carry on.
No, it's glad to see that you don't feel very strongly about these things, Pete. Look, he's not for us long term. We know
VK.
VK.
Is that what you call him on Friday nights?
That's what I call him, VK. No, look, but it was floated in a certain conversation that was had offline in regards to this podcast that perhaps, and I don't know if this is of any interest to you chaps, but is there another player that could do a job there in the interim? Could we see one of our other fullbacks, a Ricardo or Hamza? Could we get them both on the pitch at the same time, potentially, if you don't think that Thomas is up to it? Now, I don't think he is. I think he does okay. He does enough. But then occasionally we see situations where he's exposed. And I think a lot of our goals have come from that side of the pitch so far this season. And I do think that opposition teams do target him. I'm pretty sure I think it was the goal against Wrexham where they literally just knocked the ball past him, outpaced him, and then that's when Vestergaard basically went to ground and got turned. So yeah, I think he's one that we probably will be in the market for to see if we can upgrade on in January. But yeah, for me, and in terms of Bobby De Cordova-Reid, I think he's a great player at this level. I think he's got the perfect ability for what we need. I would still probably start Ramsey, but I'm happy with how the midfield's starting to shape up. What was interesting was, I don't know if you saw, Pete and James, there was a link, a £10 million link that was made with Besiktas, I think, this week for Oh, who's the player? Who's your favourite player, Pete? That
Bubakari Samare. I've already
That's the
booked the
one.
plane. Don't worry, he's going. It's fine. He's never going to do it. He's never going to do it. I'm going to get the T-shirt still, even when he goes. I'm going to sell him. I'm going to go over to wherever he plays. I'm going to stand outside the Besiktas grounds. What was my saying? He's never going to do it. He never will. Whatever that I said a few weeks ago. Honest to God, yeah, £10 million. Thank you very much. Carry on, Tom.
Well, no, I think that conundrum is starting to sort itself, basically. So I don't think we'll have to worry about what do we do with the third position in midfield. So, yeah, I think the team's starting to get there. But like you said, there's probably about 2 positions for me personally that I think still just need a bit of work.
And James, yeah, I think with the fullback, I think essentially because if you go back to the Maresca side again, I just every time I think about the Enzo Maresca side of when we won the league a few years ago, I just think, what were they doing when Maresca left to Chelsea? Why did they go down the avenue of a manager who plays a completely different way of football? It's absolutely mind blowing. But anyway, I think with the defense, I think the way that the team's set up. If you think about that side, we had Doyle at left back for a lot of the season, and you just need kind of a stable, competent left back because all the action is on the other side, isn't it? Because you got someone like maybe Chowdhury who can push forward into midfield, but of course Ricardo, the main man, who can then push forward into midfield and be that extra player. And the left back, they just have to stay there because anyone's in front of them, it's going to be either Mavididi or Monga, and they're just going to go one way. Okay, so you just need a solid, capable left back who can just be solid in his own play and also cover around the back of maybe a Vestergaard, etc. And I think we do have it in Thomas, but he's just not the best at all. He is just not the best. But I think it's just what we've got at the moment. And again, I'd rather have him in than Tom's mate VK. But James, before we go through the predictions for the game, because I know we have just ticked past the half an hour mark, and Rob Hayes will be breathing down the neck going, why has it gone longer than 30 minutes? Just your thoughts about the back line. Would you go with what we expect it to be with Ricardo, Vestergaard, Waltfass, and Thomas?
I'd imagine he's going to go with that. I would try a bit of squad rotation, maybe start a Coley this week just to get him some minutes to see how he's. I know he's started 4 games, I think, or he's certainly played some decent minutes, but I would start him from the start, maybe give him 90 minutes. I understand the criticisms of Luke Thomas. I do quite like him. He's very one-footed, which is not good. He's a bit like Ben Chilwell in that sense. Obviously, nowhere near as good as Ben Chilwell. But yeah, I mean, Vestergaard has played every minute of the season so far, so I can't really see him, and he's been very good. Fast has been all right. He's been competent. So yeah, I can't really see any changes there. And obviously, if Ricardo's fit, he's going to play captain. It'll be nice when Ben Nelson is back from injury, so that he can start playing some games as well. So I don't think he's been available at all this season so far. So that'll make a big difference when he comes back as well.
Yeah, they got Colby Bishop up front, and you wonder if they do really go direct, whether Okoli will come in. But I just think it's the pace with Waltvass. I think that's what you get with him. And when you got Vestergaard on one side, those two, they've won the league together, haven't they? And I think they are just by far and away the first choice, unless we all go and land at the Giants Route 1 football. That's when I think Okoli comes into his own midfield. I think we all know it's going to be James and Winks. They work very well together. And now it's time for predictions. Now, we will do a preview before the Hull game, he says, because obviously it will be with myself. So stand by for that. And of course, that will be either on Sunday or Monday. Not quite sure yet. But Tom, your prediction for the game. It doesn't just have to be a score. What else do you think is going to happen? Maybe not quite a rat's going to run on the pitch like in Wales against Belgium, but well, maybe. What do you think is going to happen?
Do you remember that game that there was a baby in the King Power? We were playing against Everton. Do you remember that? Someone in the away section brought a baby to a game.
I do, because I mean the lady, she took him to Forest. I think she took him to a number of away games before Leicester, and she took him to Forest and says, well, there was no problem there. And I think the kid was like a month old or 2 months old. And
Yeah.
when she got thrown out the ground, or when she was escorted out the ground onto because everyone knows the away end, and then you've got the line of supporters coaches where the away fan supporters coaches, and she went onto one of them, and she was filmed outside of one of them. And the problem was she was very anti Jim Donnelly, who is the supporters liaison officer at Leicester City, a guy I know very well. Jim won't mind my saying, bold guy, Scottish. You saw him in the celebration behind Ranieri going, yeah, in the crowd that time. And if you've been to the King Power in any way in the last 20 years, then you would have seen Jim. He used to actually run the supporters bus when I used to pay 50p to go and watch Leicester. From it started at Shepshed, went to Loughborough, etc. So I've known Jim for many a year, and I've worked down there for many a year, and he is a top man, as they say in football. But yeah, Jim got loads of pelters about that. And I had to jump on social media, actually, because obviously this was nothing really Leicester focused. It was kind of a nationwide kind of story at the time for a few days. And I had to put my oar in and say, look, everyone, like, this guy's a top man. Just because he threw you out because you brought a 2-month-old baby into the ground illegally under your jacket. Oh, dear. Anyway, sorry, Tom, carry on.
No, I think the baby's due an appearance, so I'm going to say that's going to happen, and I'm going to go positive as well, because I think I've been too negative from the last few pods, so I'm going to go 4-1.
4-1. What was the term used to describe yourself?
What do you mean?
Was it yourself? Was it you and Jono who were the fun sponges? Was it
the fun sponge? Yes, we were the fun sponges. I have to own up to
that. James, are you a fun sponge? I want to know one prediction. I mean, the baby prediction is amazing, by the way. Let's just dwell on that for a second. I did not expect that. That is fantastic, and a 4-1 Leicester win, which I think is actually second to the baby prediction. Actually, that would be a good thing. So, James, I want one thing that's going to happen, and then a scoreline.
I think Sir Gary Lineker is going to come out and play the foghorn before the match. I think that's definitely going to happen.
Have I entered the twilight zone here? Carry on.
Scoreline, I am going to go 2-0. A goal in either half.
2-0 to Leicester, I presume. It's going to be 2-0 Leicester. Well, I don't know what's happened to the show, Rob. I've completely ruined the preview, but there we go. Now, I'm going to go slightly similar to the Wales game, because I'm looking down the animal route. I'm looking for a comprehensive Leicester win, so much so that the cameramen at the King Power focus down Filbert Way and they see a fox, because it's at night. They see a fox run across the road, and they focus on that from like the cherry picker up high above the King Power, whilst the game's going on, and Leicester are 3-0 up. Now, Jason Harris has just made a comment. Pompey can't score, so 3-0 for me. Jace, I'll follow you on that one then, mate. 3-0 to Leicester is the way I was thinking. And I just got a little bit of a feeling that we might, hopefully, just see a few cogs turning in the right direction in areas of the team that it hasn't so far. And I'm thinking maybe a substitution special. I can see maybe Leicester being one up and maybe a couple of substitutes coming on and scoring. Maybe a Mavididi goal to boost his confidence from the subs bench. And also maybe a Carranza goal from the subs bench as well. So that's what I'm thinking. But 3-0, I'll go with 3-0 as well. That's it for the preview. We'll be back before the Hull game with another preview, and then it will be the big show with my good self. And we'll be talking all things what happened on Saturday against Portsmouth, and also what happened away at Hull. So make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so, and it means that you're entered in our fantastic competition that we're going to be announcing in about a week's time. And basically, to enter, all you need to be is a subscribe follower on YouTube. If you are listening on Apple and Spotify, then a big hello to you. And if you're not, then you want to, then you can find us on there as well. We've been going for 12 years. There's 4 shows. The podcast is growing bigger and bigger. Great to have it in vision. Great to have company like Tom and James this evening. All the best, everyone. And fingers crossed for 3 points on Saturday and also a fox being shown, a baby in the crowd, and Gary Lineker playing the post-horn gallop. Rob, come back. It's all gone a real mess on the preview with me. I've only been here for 1 week.